Ladies and gentlemen, life is a journey filled with countless challenges, surprises, and opportunities. Along this path, we often look to others for guidance, support, and validation. And while relationships, mentors, and friendships are truly valuable, there comes a time when we must recognize a deeper truth. The most important person you can depend on is yourself. To learn to depend on yourself is to discover the power of independence, resilience, and self-belief. It is to stand tall, even when the world seems to push you down. Depending on yourself does not mean isolating yourself or rejecting help. It means cultivating inner strength so that you are not lost without it. It means trusting your decisions, honoring your values, and taking responsibility for the direction of your life. When you depend too much on others, you give away your power. You begin to measure your worth by external approval, waiting for someone else to validate your choices. But true growth happens when you look within, when you silence the doubts, and when you remind yourself, I am capable, I am strong, and I am enough. Self-dependence is built through discipline, courage, and consistency. It is the art of showing up for yourself every single day, when no one is watching, when encouragement is absent, and when the road feels lonely. Every step you take in faith strengthens your confidence and expands your potential. Remember, life may not always give you people to lean on, but it will always give you the chance to lean on yourself. And when you do, you become unstoppable, because the person who learns to depend on themselves becomes a leader, a creator, and an inspiration to others. So I leave you with this: believe in yourself, trust yourself, and depend on yourself. Because at the end of the day, you are your greatest resource, your strongest ally, and your most reliable friend. Thank you. Depending on yourself begins with recognizing that your greatest source of power lies within. Too often, people wait for someone else to rescue them, guide them, or make them feel complete. But true independence starts the moment you realize that everything you need to rise above challenges already exists inside of you. Inner strength is not about being perfect or fearless. It is about having the courage to keep moving forward, even when things are uncertain. When you depend on yourself, you stop waiting for others to tell you what you are capable of, and instead prove it through your own actions. Life will always present moments where support is limited, encouragement is absent, and the road feels lonely. In those moments, your inner strength becomes your foundation. It teaches you to be steady when everything around you feels unstable. It pushes you to believe in your own judgment, to trust your own abilities, and to find solutions even when no one else can. The truth is, the world cannot always provide stability, but your self-dependence can. By relying on yourself, you gain confidence in your capacity to adapt, to recover, and to keep going no matter how heavy the weight feels. Building this inner strength doesn't happen overnight. It is a daily practice of self-discipline, courage, and resilience. Each time you choose to face challenges, instead of running from them, you strengthen your independence. Each time you silence self-doubt and take a bold step forward, you prove to yourself that you are capable. And every time you rely on your own strength, you become more grounded, more confident, and more prepared for whatever life brings. Inner strength is the root of true independence, and when you cultivate it, you become unstoppable. Depending on yourself does not mean closing the door to others or refusing to accept help. True self-reliance is not isolation, it is balance. It is the ability to know that while relationships and support are valuable, your core stability cannot be built solely on someone else's shoulders. Too many people confuse independence with loneliness, but in reality, learning to depend on yourself allows you to create healthier and more meaningful connections. When you stand firm in your own strength, you can walk alongside others without clinging to them out of fear or insecurity. Relying on yourself means you are not powerless when others are unavailable. Friends, family, and mentors can guide and inspire you, but they cannot live your life for you. There will be days when no one can fully understand your struggle, and there will be decisions that only you can make. In those moments, it is your inner stability that carries you through. Self-dependence teaches you that even if the world turns away, you still have the strength to move forward. At the same time, learning to depend on yourself makes you better in relationships. When you are not relying on someone else to complete you, you show up as a whole and confident person. You contribute love, wisdom, and support without the constant fear of being abandoned or let down. You learn to appreciate others without becoming dependent on them for your happiness. This balance is the true essence of strength, being able to embrace connection while also knowing you are enough on your own. Self-dependence does not isolate you, it frees you. It gives you the power to choose relationships out of love, not desperation, and to walk away from anything that does not serve your growth. One of the greatest traps that weakens self-dependence is the constant need for external validation. Many people measure their worth through the opinions, approval, or praise of others. They feel accomplished only when someone claps for them, and they feel lost when no one notices their efforts. This cycle creates a dependency that steals your freedom, because your happiness and confidence are no longer in your hands, but in the hands of others. To truly learn to depend on yourself, you must stop seeking constant validation and start trusting your own inner compass. Validation from others can feel good, but it should never be the foundation of your self-worth. When you rely too heavily on approval, you live in fear of rejection. You make choices not based on what feels right for you, but on what will please or impress others. This often leads to frustration and emptiness, because no amount of external praise can replace the power of self-acceptance. True freedom comes when you no longer beg for applause, but instead find peace in knowing you did what aligned with your values. Depending on yourself means giving yourself permission to celebrate your victories, even in silence. It means reminding yourself that your efforts matter, whether others acknowledge them or not. When you stop seeking validation, you begin to make bold choices that reflect your authenticity rather than someone else's expectations. You become stronger, more confident, and more courageous, because your worth no longer rises and falls with someone else's opinion. In the end, the only validation you truly need is your own. When you can look in the mirror and say, I am proud of who I am and the choices I make, you reclaim your power. That is the moment you step into true independence. Taking responsibility for your life is one of the most powerful steps toward true self-dependence. Many people spend their days blaming circumstances, other people, or even fate for where they are. While it may feel easier to point fingers, the truth is that blame never creates growth. Real strength begins the moment you take full ownership of your choices, your actions, and even your mistakes. Responsibility is not a burden, it is a form of freedom, because it places the power of change directly in your hands. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems. Instead, you face challenges head on and look for solutions. This builds confidence, because each time you overcome a difficulty through your own effort, you prove to yourself that you are capable. You begin to trust your judgment more, and that trust fuels courage for future decisions. Responsibility teaches you that while you may not control everything that happens in life, you always control how you respond. That awareness shifts you from being a passive observer of life to an active creator of your destiny. Owning your choices also deepens self-respect. Even when you make mistakes, responsibility allows you to learn instead of collapse under guilt. It gives you the strength to admit, yes, this was my decision, and now I will grow from it. That humility builds character and prepares you for greater challenges ahead. The more you embrace responsibility, the stronger and more confident you become. You stop being dependent on luck or on others to shape your path. Instead, you take control of your direction and create opportunities for yourself. Responsibility is the foundation of confidence, and confidence is the essence of true independence. Discipline and consistency are the backbone of self-dependence. It is easy to set goals when motivation is high, but true growth comes from showing up for yourself even when the excitement fades. Depending on yourself means you cannot rely solely on inspiration or the push of others. You must build habits that keep you moving forward regardless of how you feel in the moment. Discipline is choosing to do what must be done even when it is difficult, and consistency is repeating those choices until they become a natural part of who you are. Every small action taken with discipline strengthens your independence. Waking up early to work on your dreams, staying focused when distractions call your name, keeping promises you make to yourself. These daily choices create the foundation of trust between you and yourself. When you remain consistent, you prove over and over again that you can rely on your own word. That reliability becomes a source of strength because you no longer question whether you are capable. Your actions already provide the answer. Without discipline, it is easy to drift, waiting for circumstances to improve or for others to push you along. But with consistency, you build momentum, and that momentum carries you closer to the life you desire. Discipline creates the structure, and consistency creates the results. Together, they ensure that your self-reliance is not just an idea, but a lived reality. Self-dependence thrives on the quiet victories of discipline. Each time you choose action over procrastination, focus over distraction, and effort over excuses, you remind yourself that you are capable of achieving great things. Over time, those choices shape your character, build your confidence, and transform your life. Discipline and consistency are not restrictions. They are the keys to true freedom. At the end of the day, the one person you can always count on is yourself. People may walk in and out of your life, circumstances may change overnight, and promises may sometimes be broken, but the constant that remains is you, your mind, your strength, your determination, and your choices. Learning to see yourself as your greatest ally is the essence of true self-dependence. When you build a relationship of trust with yourself, you never feel abandoned because you know that no matter what happens, you will be there to support your own journey. Being your own ally means listening to your inner voice instead of drowning it out with the noise of doubt or fear. It means encouraging yourself when no one else does, and reminding yourself of your worth when life tries to convince you otherwise. You become your own cheerleader, your own motivator, and your own source of wisdom. This kind of self-support creates a deep sense of security because you realize that your strength does not depend on external conditions. When you trust yourself fully, you become unstoppable. You no longer wait for others to tell you that you can achieve something. You already know you can. You take bold steps, pursue your goals with courage, and recover quickly from setbacks because you understand that you will always have your own back. Others may inspire you, but they do not define you. The truth is, you are the one person who will walk with yourself for an entire lifetime. When you learn to depend on yourself and treat yourself as your greatest ally, you unlock a level of independence and resilience that no external force can shake. That is the foundation of lasting confidence and true freedom.